Apple is about to charge you more money for a thicker phone. That's the iPhone 18 Pro Max in 2 sentences. And I know that sounds bad, but here's the thing. It might actually be the right call. After going deep into every credible leak, every supply chain report, and every rumor worth taking seriously, I landed on a take that's different from what you've probably already read, especially on one specific upgrade that almost no one is treating seriously enough. We'll get there. And there's a reason for that, a reason that I think is actually one of the most interesting hardware decisions Apple has made in years. But there's also a price conversation we need to have. Because Tim Cook has already told us price hikes are coming, and the estimates floating around right now range from $50 extra to $300. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what's in this phone, whether it's worth the money, and honestly, who should absolutely not buy it. That last part might surprise you. This is everything we know about the iPhone 18 Pro Max right now, 2 months before it officially exists. I've gone through the McRumors roundups, the Forbes timeline reports, the regulatory filings, the supply chain leaks out of Korea, the Ming-Chi Kuo notes, the Bloomberg drops from Mark Gurman, all of it. What I'm about to give you isn't hype. It's the most accurate picture of this phone that exists before September. And there's one feature, one specific hardware decision that I think is genuinely historic for iPhone. I'll show you exactly what I mean. Okay, so first, the release situation. Because Apple did something this year that they've never done before. The iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max are 6.3 and 6.9 inches respectively. And they're arriving in September alongside the new foldable iPhone. But here's what's different. Instead of 4 new iPhones in September, Apple is splitting the lineup. The Pro and Pro Max launch in fall 2026, and the standard iPhone 18 won't arrive until spring 2027. Translation: if you want a new iPhone this fall, your only options start at around $1,000. Every new iPhone introduced in September 2026 will likely start at $999 or more, which is a choice. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman suggests Apple is sticking to its usual playbook, a launch on the first Tuesday or Wednesday after Labor Day, and which locks in September 8th as the most likely date. So mark that down. September 8th, the phones go on sale, probably September 19th or so. Now, the price. Apple CEO Tim Cook has said price hikes are unavoidable, though he didn't say by how much. Research estimates put the increase anywhere from $50 to $300 per model. $300. Tech Insights puts the increase at around $270 to maintain Apple's profit margin, which would bring the iPhone 18 Pro to roughly $1,369. The Wall Street Journal estimates a steeper $300 increase, potentially pushing it to $1,399. And the Pro Max, we're potentially looking at $1,499 to $1,599. Now, before you throw your current phone across the room, JP Morgan predicts increases of no more than $50 per model at the optimistic end. So the range is real. Nobody knows yet. But here's the thing that actually matters: whether this phone is worth whatever the price ends up being. And that answer lives entirely in the upgrades. So let's talk about those. The iPhone 18 Pro Max runs the A20 Pro. It's built on TSMC's 2nm process, Apple's first 2nm mobile chip ever. Now, I know what you're thinking. Cool numbers next, but this one actually matters. The current A19 chip is built on 3nm. Going to 2nm means performance and efficiency improvements, which translates directly into better battery life without giving up speed. We're looking at roughly 15 to 30% improvements in performance and efficiency compared to the current generation. Think about what that means practically. Every AI task, every photo processed, every background process, all of it faster, cooler, quieter on the battery. You get smarter Siri, enhanced photo editing, and more advanced Apple intelligence across the board. And speaking of Siri, iOS 27 is bringing a system-wide Siri AI upgrade that finally gains the promised context awareness and the ability to operate within apps, which, if it actually works the way Apple says, is a genuinely big deal. That's the chip. Good chip, great chip, actually. But the chip isn't the story. The camera is the story. Okay, here's the thing. Nobody is treating seriously enough. Apple has started ramping up its supply chain for a new variable aperture camera system expected to debut in the iPhone 18 Pro and Pro Max this September. Apple has never implemented a variable aperture on an iPhone. Never, not once in 19 years of iPhone. So what does variable aperture actually mean? A variable aperture allows the lens to dynamically adjust light intake, opening wider in low light conditions for brighter images, or narrowing in bright scenes to reduce overexposure and improve depth of field. This feature has long been common in dedicated cameras, and it would represent a major leap for iPhone photography. Let me put that into real-world terms. Right now, your iPhone takes a photo in bright sunlight, and it blows out the highlights. Apple's computational photography does its best to fix it after the fact. It's good, really good, but it's still software fixing, a hardware limitation. Variable aperture means the hardware adjusts first, like an actual camera, like a lens that actually breathes. You'd be able to manually adjust how much light gets to the sensor, cutting down on overexposure and getting new customization options for lighting and depth of field. That's not a software trick, that's optics. And the telephoto lens could also feature a larger aperture for more light in poor lighting conditions. At least one Pro model could also feature a new 3-layer stacked image sensor developed by Samsung, which would make the camera more responsive, cut down on noise, and increase dynamic range. 3-layer stacked sensor from Samsung on an iPhone, the two biggest rivals in consumer tech, collaborating on a camera sensor. That's the phone we're talking about. Now, the thickness conversation. Leaked measurements suggest the iPhone 18 Pro Max will be slightly thicker and heavier than its predecessor. Total thickness, including the camera bump, is reported to increase, with body thickness also rising modestly. A larger battery is separately rumored, compounding the size increase. Such a small difference won't be noticeable to most users, but it is expected to push the device over 240 grams. The iPhone 17 Pro Max weighs 233 grams, so 7 grams heavier, maybe a fraction of a millimeter thicker. And the reason? The battery is expected to be somewhere between 5,100 and 5,200 milliamp hours, which could deliver noticeably improved endurance, potentially pushing video playback toward 40 hours in some scenarios. 40 hours of video playback. The iPhone 17 Pro Max, which is already a really solid battery phone, manages around 33 hours. 7 extra hours, 7 extra grams. That is genuinely one of the best trades Apple has ever offered. And look, I know people love thin phones, I get it, but adding half a millimeter to fit a camera that physically adjusts aperture and a battery that pushes toward 40 hours, I'll take it. The display. Screen size stays consistent with the 6.9-inch display on the current model, but reports suggest a massive jump in brightness from the current 1,600 nits HDR and 3,000 nits peak. If that holds, this will be one of the brightest smartphone screens ever made. And the dynamic island, the front display is rumored to feature a reduced dynamic island cutout. The notch housing Face ID sensors and the front camera could shrink by around 25%, measuring approximately 14.98 millimeters wide compared to previous generations, 25% smaller. Look, the dynamic island was clever, still is, but smaller is always better when it comes to screen interruptions. And colors. The red shade is more of a dark cherry color with a tinge of purple in it, and Apple could sell it alongside light blue, dark gray, and silver. Dark cherry, deep wine-colored purple undertone replacing last year's cosmic orange, which honestly looked like Apple's phone went trick-or-treating. The iPhone 18 Pro models may also not have a two-tone look like the iPhone 17 Pro models. Apple has reportedly updated the back glass to minimize the color difference between the glass and the aluminum frame for a more unified appearance. Cleaner back, unified color, smaller cutout up front. Design-wise, it's an evolution. Not a revolution, but it's a good evolution. One more thing people aren't talking about enough. The modem. Apple is shifting to its in-house C2 modem, the second generation custom 5G modem. This should deliver better network stability, stronger signals, faster speeds, and reduced battery drain on 5G. Reduced battery drain on 5G. If you've ever watched your battery tank in a weak signal area, this is the fix. The C2 is specifically engineered to stop bleeding battery when the network gets spotty. Connectivity is also set to advance with satellite-based connectivity for basic browsing in areas without traditional coverage. Satellite browsing in areas with zero signal on a phone. It's 2026 and this is real. Okay, so here's where I land. The iPhone 18 Pro Max 2026 is shaping up to be one of the most genuinely interesting iPhone upgrades in recent memory. Not because of the design, that's largely the same. Not because of the chip, though it's excellent, because of what Apple is doing with the camera. A variable aperture on a smartphone is a hardware-first philosophy. It says, we're not going to software process our way out of this anymore. We're going to fix the physics. And that matters. Now, who should buy this? If you're on an iPhone 15 Pro Max or older, the answer is straightforward. The jump-in-chip camera, battery, and modem is significant. Buy it. If you're on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, honestly, it depends. If the camera is the thing that matters most to you, variable aperture alone might do it. But if you're happy with your battery and your photos look great, wait. The 19 Pro Max next year will be even better. And the one person who should think hardest before buying, the person who's been told by every tech reviewer that this year's iPhone is the best one yet. That's true every year. It doesn't mean you need it every year. The price hike is real. Whether it's $50 or $300, we'll find out September 8th. But if Apple lands the variable aperture camera, actually delivers on it in real-world use, this is the iPhone that finally closes the gap between a smartphone and a real camera. Not all the way, but closer than we've ever been. I'll be testing this the day it ships. Every feature, real conditions, no soft launching anything. Drop your biggest question about the iPhone 18 Pro Max in the comments. The one that would actually decide whether you buy it. I'll build the review around those.